Welcome back to the Unbounded podcast with your host, Todd Simmons, Living Beyond Limits. Got a special guest today that I am so excited to introduce to the Unbounded audience and to all my listeners and everyone who follows me around the world. Hey, we got Raheel Siddiqui here today. And man, I'm not going to do our traditional intro and we go all through bios and stuff, but man, international speaker, TEDx, motivator of everyone within 2 centimeters of him. I'll talk about in a second how we met. But, today's episode, man, is about breaking the wall, how radical ownership builds strength and purpose. And when I say radical ownership, that's what Unbound is about. Those people who have made that switch in their mind and their life and is taking control of their lives and are doing some amazing things out here. We might not have Oprah on here. We might not have Denzel on here. But I'm telling you, we have in this country of 350 million people walking around. We have millions of people walking around the coffee shop next to you, everywhere next to you, the gym next to you, and the sauna next to you that are doing some really amazing things in their life and are just as inspirational as any of the folks that you look at on TV every day. So I want to welcome one of those millions walking around today, Raheel Siddiqui. Welcome to the Unbounded podcast. How you doing today, brother?
Good, good. Thank you so much for having me, Todd. So fired up, so excited. What an intro, man. What an intro. I'm trying to live up to the expectations. I will try my best, but Oprah, who needs Oprah, man? You got the wall breaker here, man. I mean, let's go, man. Let's go.
I just saw Oprah doing some deadlifts on TV yesterday. She's 72 years
Looking
old.
amazing.
And I'm just like, man, why I mentioned Oprah and why I mentioned Denzel, I think those are unbounded people. And we'll talk about wall breaker and that methodology in a second. I think there are like two similar concepts that we have and how we live our life, how we see the world. But man, I'm so excited to have you. Hey, before we get into anything and get into, man, the questions, Unbounded podcast, we don't keep you here for 2 hours. We get in and out in powerful conversations, powerful questions, powerful people. But man, let me tell you how I always talk about. I just traveled 3 places this week, and one of them I ended up in Montgomery, Alabama yesterday, talking to 120, 30 people, great folks. It was 2 hours, so I gave them a break in the middle, and about 7 or 8 people came up to me and was asking me, how do you connect with people just in the spaces? And I'm like, you have to be transformational and not transactional. And Raheel, when I see you in the gym walking around, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the story. How I met this guy. I've seen him for the last year in the neighborhood gym that I go to. We speak, very friendly, very cordial guy, walks around the gym, the mayor of the gym. Everyone knows him. Everybody is engaging. We got a sauna. I love the sauna. So every time I've seen him in the sauna 2 or 3 times, and he's told this story about this dramatic transformation he's made in his life a few times. And man, I just took a chance, right? Went up to him, introduced myself a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, man, I've heard you, seen you around here. We got a conference coming up, 100 men. I need you to be there. And he was like, got you. Don't even know me, right? So, man, now we led to this podcast. Raheel, thank you for that. And I look forward to you continuing to share your stuff. So as we get into this, I want to just start off at the top. Let's start from the beginning, right? What was the moment, the first, because we're a little unorthodox. Tell little people a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into that moment that changed your life.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So fired up to be here and really appreciate you just coming up to me and inviting me out and, to the podcast and also the conference as well. So thank you. I appreciate that, man, because, this is what I love to do, man. I love to talk and I love to share my story and my journey and help people break walls and et cetera. So I want to give a quick thank you to you. But you said to the top, man, let's go for it. I feel like I'm so notoriously known for this story for the people that know me. So I'm really excited to share it to the viewers out here on this show. But yeah, man, it's been a journey. So I guess right off the top, I recently lost 200 plus pounds, man. So, so it's been a journey. It's been a ride. And to answer your question directly from the top, so January 2010, I was 405 pounds, and my father was a pharmacist. And one day he looked at me blue in the face, and he was like, "Man, like, your weight's getting out of control." And the backstory to that really quickly before, I was just bad eating habits, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
having accountability, zero accountability, not telling myself the truth. And then it was just the rapid race of middle school, high school, college, post college, eating, going out with friends, and just not understanding the damage that I was doing to myself mentally and physically. And then lo and behold, fast forward to 2010, I was 27 years old, 405 pounds on the scale. So my father was like, "Man, we need to go to the doctor to see you get checked out." So I was like, okay, let's go. Got my blood work done. A few days later, went to go see the doctor to look over my results. And it's just crazy every time I think about this story, because this is exactly right around 16 years ago this happened. So doctor walked in, had a folder in his hand with my results, okay? Walked in, looked at my father and I, looked down at the folder, flipped the pages over of the results, closed the folder, threw the folder on the counter, looked at my dad and I and said, it doesn't matter what these results say. Your son's going to be dead by the time he's 40 anyways. And that's
Wow.
it. Yeah. And
Wow.
telling you, Todd, you talking about ripping the Band-Aid off. And like I tell everybody, well, there goes your 5-star review, doc. You know what I'm saying? Like, sheesh. So then my father and the doctor went off to the side for about 2 minutes to talk. And that's it. We left. Literally the fastest doctor's visit I've ever seen in my life. And the craziest part to this is I never knew my results that day. I never knew
Oh,
my
wow.
blood pressure, my cholesterol, my hemoglobin, like nothing. Because I guess in that moment, he was like, does it even matter? Are you even going to listen? Are you even going to care? I guess whatever he saw in me in that moment, he was like, I got to try something. I don't know, but I have to try something else. So then we left. And I think this is where the turning point for me, the switch really flipped for me. So driving home, my father and I left. About halfway home, my father looked at me and he was like, hey, listen, I need you to pull the car over. I said, why, Dad? Is everything okay? He said, yes, just pull the car over, pull the car over, pull the car over right now. I need to talk to you right now. So I'm like, okay. And he was very adamant. So I said, okay. And we're on the highway. I pulled the car over on the shoulder. I said, what's going on? And he looked right at me and he was like, listen, I'm running out of time. I'm not going to be there to see you get married. I'm not going to be there to see you have kids. I'm running out of time. But you still have time. You still have time to take control of your life. You still have time to take control of your health. You need to promise me that you are going to do this. And I tell people all the time a big reason why my father felt that way was because he was battling a lot of health issues at that time. And he had a really severe liver issue that he was really fighting. And whatever the reason was in that moment, he felt like I need to just reach out to my son. I mean, he was always in my ear for multiple years, whispering in my ear. He was a pharmacist. I was a farm tech with him throughout my college years too. He had a really soft spoken voice. But in that moment, he was like, look, I'm running out of time. And I'm a father now. So, usually when fathers yell at sons, it's like in one ear, not
Yeah.
the other. But that was the first time, Todd, where I saw like tears like coming down his eyes. And he was like, no, man, like you have to promise me you're going to do this. And we are not going home until you promise me. So I looked at him in the face and I was like, okay. I was like, look, Dad, just don't cry. I promise. I promise you I'm going to take this seriously.
Would you say that was your radical transformation? Like, some people get this gut punch, like you go to the doctor and you get these results, or a tragedy happens, and then you like, oh, I'm gonna live my life differently or something. But it's like it's fleeting in a very short amount of time. It's like, yeah, I felt that in the moment, but 2 weeks later, I'm back at the same old habits. Was that really a radical transformation, that moment with your dad, or?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, that was it. I mean, he is my legacy. Like every day I get up, you see me at the gym. You said it. Thank you for the mirror comment. I don't know about that, but every single day I wake up, if you hear it in my voice, I think about that day. I made a promise to my dad. I have to see this through all the way. And we'll get into it a little bit more as to even the deeper why of it. But then the journey began. I said, okay. And then we went home. And that was the first time in my life I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, man, like, what just happened? I'm 27 years old. I'm 405 pounds. I wake up one Saturday morning and I have my dad telling me that he's not going to be there to see me get married. He's not going to be there to see me have kids. And the doctor's telling me I'm going to be dead in about 13 years. What happened? Right? It really comes down to the reflection of it all. Like, wow.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to touch on that reflective moment, man. We all live it. The longer you live on this earth, man, you have these moments like, these New Year's resolution type moments,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, I will tell you, this episode that we're on is so timely, man. Like, I'm 49, right?
You look great, by the way. I was about to ID you, man, but you look great.
In 10 days, I'll be 50. So, for me, why I asked that question about was that moment, because I'm sure before that, at 400 plus pounds, you had 30 moments where you were like, man, you know what? I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop
Mm-hmm.
doing this. I'm going to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight. But I want people to really key in on what Raheel said about that moment, man, because I'm going through that moment for the last 11 and a half months. My sister, who essentially raised me and is one of the person who supported me my whole 25-year military career more than anyone,
Mm-hmm.
she passed away at 49.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear about that.
So my entire year of being 49 has been this just this moment. But actually, it happened when she passed away 7 years ago.
Okay.
When I watched her take her last breath 7 years ago, she died from cancer. She was 49 and I was 42 at the time. I thought she was so much older. You know, I knew her age, but
Right.
because she was always my older sister. So the day I turned 49, I was like, oh my God.
Right.
After she passed away, a year later, I retired from the military a little early because I was like, I got to go live my life out. It can't be restricted. So when I turned 49, Raheel, I go to the doctor and I get a 5-page report that said you may have liver cancer.
Man.
So I'm sitting here like, oh my, like this nerves is coming true.
Yeah.
You know, but I ended up getting through that and it wasn't what they thought, thankfully. But man, that was another radical transformation for me about really taking stock of my life. And that's why I want to get into when we get into that wall breaker method. Last 7 months, I have been conscious of air every day I get to breathe, you know, and coming up on the next 10 days. And then I was recently notified, not making this a tragedy story, but I was recently notified, you know, my sister kind of raised me and a cousin who's 3 years older than me, who I kind of grew up with, recently passed away within the
Oh
last couple of
man.
days.
Sorry to hear about that, man. Yeah.
So I'm going all of this before my 50th birthday
Right. Right.
and it's gone. It's really has put life into perspective. So I wanted to say that because I want to really hone in on you talk about that radical transformative moment because we get all these yellow light moments in life, I call them. You're always blinking yellow. And we see the caution and we just like, yeah, all right, I got it. I'm gonna slow down a little bit.
Yup.
But that red light comes and sometime it'll stop you before you can stop yourself.
100%.
And that's why I always talk about, you know, we have to start being the audience. I mean, for the audience, when we hear Raheel's talking about him and his dad's conversation and, you know, the thing I just talked about, sometimes we got to really take stock and listen to these yellow lights and pay attention to these caution times in our life because you don't get another opportunity sometime, you know, so that doctor might have saved your life, you know, that day just by his lack of bedside
I'm
manners.
telling you, literally. I mean, without a doubt. And I hated him so much. And I remember asking, somebody asked me this question too, like, how did you feel in that moment? And I said, in that moment, I hated his guts. But then it's funny, now that I look at it 16 years later, the best thing that ever happened to me because it's a chain reaction, right? Had he not said what he said, I don't know if my father pulls me over on the side of the road. He doesn't make his dying plea to me, to his youngest son. And the
Yeah.
rest is history. You know what I mean? So things happen for a reason in life. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I think the way I'm doing what I've done now, my sister had cancer for 10 years before they told her she only lived like 2. She had cancer for 10 years. And during that time, her and her husband, shout out to my brother-in-law, Jonathan, who, man, took her around the world several times. She went to
That's
every
awesome.
vacation spot. They were able to do that. And she just lived her life every day. She never complained. She would call me from chemo and just talk to me on the phone and just had a positive attitude. So I look at it's not sadness for me now. I'm honoring my sister's life by living the same way. Me and my wife are like serial vacationers.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
if anything, I'm like, I'm living my life. I just came from Alabama last night. Like I said, I spent the day with my 2 daughters who live in Birmingham, Alabama. They're 24 and 29, and having dinner with them as adults is so cool when they can order their own drinks and make me pay for it. But
Yeah, already know. Yeah, the dad role doesn't leave us, my brother. That's one job you can't clock out 9 to 5, right?
you know what's so funny, man? I'll tell you about that a little bit. I went to eat with them. They're like, broke adults, but they shout out to them. They're doing great. They're homeowners. They're good women. But when they go out to eat with me, it's at a nice restaurant. They're going to order multiple appetizers, multiple drinks. They're going to get a expensive meal and they're going to get dessert. And I'm just
Uh,
like,
can't leave
what is,
without dessert, man. That's the best
I'm like,
part.
yeah, I'm like, what's happening right now? They ordered half the menu. And then when the check comes, they're silent.
Oh yeah, they already know, man. Yeah, Daddy Bear is here, man. Here you go, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. You're the walking ATM.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It goes back to that living that life beyond limits, like just having the freedom to think about how important those small things are, or how large the moments are, right? The moment of going to the gym every morning, the moment of spending time with people, the moment of having a long life, the moment of having clarity of thought to be able to be present as a father and a husband and all these things. I mean, all of that's living, all that's coming into Unbound. So no, got off tangent on that, but you lost over 200 pounds and while navigating some serious injuries also.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How did that play? Because on one day, people, a lot of people on weight loss journeys today through all kinds of means, but you can lose the weight, but you had an extra layer of just toughness to get through. How did you just like say, you know what, this isn't going to stop me? And that goes into that wall breaker mindset that you
Mm-hmm.
started developing.
So I guess continuing on that path, the journey began, right? So I got home and then I started my journey, and then I tried and failed for a while on my own. And then May 2010, a great friend of mine said, "Hey, let's join a gym. All of us friends are going to join. I think it'll be fun because at this point, I mean, what else do I have to lose?" And then I remember I joined. There was a class that was called Team Weight Loss class. I took that class, and then that kind of helped catapult me. And to kind of fast forward, I went from May 2010 to May 2011, I lost my first 150 pounds, and I was rolling, man. I felt like, oh my God, like life feels great. I'm feeling great. I looked at my dad. I'm like, man, like this is awesome. He was a proud father, and he was excited for me. And he was like, man, this is awesome. This is great. And then, but unfortunately, you talked about having a wall breaker mentality, man. And this is where I try to really train people, and I really try to challenge their mindset. Like, life isn't fair, and you're going to have walls in front of you whether you want them to or not, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter when they come. You have to be ready to break them down. And what I mean by that is, so May 2011, I'm down 150 pounds. July 2011, we go to my cousin's wedding in Connecticut. The night of the reception, in the hotel bed, my father ends up blowing his liver out, and he ended up dying right in my hands.
Oh
Okay,
wow, man. Sorry to hear
right in
that.
my hands, and it was probably one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, wow, I accomplished the greatest achievement of my life, and now I lost my father. And then here's the another wall coming right up. You're talking about walls. We come home to do the funeral in Baltimore the very next day where we were from. What happens? I bend over to pick up his casket. I stand up and I hear a pop in my back. What happens? I blow out my L3, L4 herniated disc. I got severe sciatica down my leg, down to my toes, and I have 500 people at my dad's funeral, and I can't even say anything because it's my dad's funeral. I have to say goodbye to him for the last time. So you want to talk about walls, okay? I mean, I tell people all the time, like in those moments, that's when a man or a woman is really truly tested. I feel like it's so easy to walk around and say you're the champ, but who are you when you're knocked down? Right? Who are you when you're struggling and you're suffering and you're crying and you're bleeding and there's no one there to save you and there's no one there to pick you up? You got to find a way to get up. And in that moment, man, so back to back, I just told you I lost my dad the night before in a hotel. He blew his liver out, died right in my hands. The very next day, I go to the funeral in from Connecticut to Baltimore, and then I blow out my herniated disc. And then I'm like, wow, what's going on here? Fast forward to 2016, I get married. 2019, we have our son. January 2020, and this is a special episode even more. I'll tell you why. Because exactly 6 years ago, right around this time, well, the Friday before, I end up going to my work garage. I bend over to tie my shoe. I stand back up. What happens? I hear another pop in my back. I
Oh,
scream
wow.
so loud. I blow out my second herniated disc. Okay, second. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. I have to lie down in my car to even drive home. And then a few days later, January 30th, 2020, I opted for spine surgery, minimally invasive spine surgery. I had surgery on my L3, L4, L5, S1. And I woke up in the OR like, what just happened, man? Like, what is going on here? And I'll tell you, man, the rehab was really tough. For 6 weeks, I couldn't even go up the stairs, down the stairs. My wife, shout out, man, she's the ultimate warrior. She changed my bandages. The doctor said like part of the rehab process is just walking and do neighborhood walks. So she would put my arm around her and walk me around, and I'm crying. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit. I want to quit. And she just kept reminding me, man, but you made a promise to your dad. You can't quit now. Like, you cannot quit. And she was like, you're a father now, dude. Like, I know you. Like, I know how bad you want it. You talked about when you see me in the gym, how bad I train. I think of all of those moments. I think of all of those moments. And like that was the moment when she was telling me, like, I know you and I know how bad that you love to train. And I know like you love being the best version for you. And I can't let you quit. There's no way. So 6 weeks of rehab, went to the doctor to go for my checkup, took my bandages off, looked at my scars. He looked at me and he was like, just let it out. Those are the 3 words he told me. Let it out. And keep in mind, I was about 290 at that time. So I gained more than half of my weight back when I blew up both my discs from when my father died from 2011 to 2020. So I literally gained more than half of that weight back. And then once he said let it out, Todd, I just became a freaking animal. It's like literally, man, you just let the lion out of the cage. You open the cage and here comes the lion coming running. And I haven't looked back since. And I've been an absolute beast since then. And I tell people all the time, like, you have to understand, like, life truly is not fair, but also you have to understand life is truly like fighting. It's truly like boxing, right? And what I mean by that is when you're a boxer, you think that you're just going to go in the ring and you're ready to punch and you're ready to hit, but guess what? So is the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other guy across from you is ready to hit and he's ready to swing too. You have to learn how to also take the beating of your life. I tell people this all the time. A man or woman can't rebuild unless they're broken first. I hope all of you are listening. Write this down. A man or woman can't rebuild unless you're broken first. I just went on a podcast right now, recently on Mick Unplugged, and I told him straight up. I said, "Look, life to me, truly, it's like boxing. I'm a big boxing fan. When you get knocked down, the referee gives you 10 seconds to get up. You only have 10 seconds, okay? Here's the beautiful part to this. You don't have to get up at 1. You can get up at 9 and still be heavyweight champion of the world, right?
Absolutely.
You just got to find a way to get up. And that's what I try to train people's mindsets. It's like, look, I understand what you're going through, okay? Everybody, man, woman, there's so many people out there that are struggling, whether it's career issues, marriage issues, relationship issues, work issues. Like, I worked so hard to get this promotion, I didn't get it. Or I'm having rifts with my colleagues, or I have a growth aspirations. I want to start my own business. And whatever it is in your life, I want to lose weight. I get all of that, and I really, really do. But here's the beauty of it all. And this is why I call myself the wall breaker. This is why I teach people the wall breaker method. The plan is very simple, but the work isn't. Here's the plan. I'll tell you right now in 10 seconds. You want to get from point A to point B. Whatever it is, point A to point B. Point A, I'm 405 pounds. Point B, I want to lose the weight. Okay? That's simple. But here's the hard part. Here's a one big wall right in front of point A to point B, right? And here's even the harder part. Just because you knock one wall down, there might be a few others along the way. But when you get to point B, whatever dream, whatever greatness, whatever accomplishment that you're trying to achieve, it is the most beautiful feeling ever. When you find a way to take your shoulder and ram it against that wall and ram it against that wall and ram it against that wall, and you find a way to finally break it through, there's no better feeling. The fact that I'm down 17 waist sizes, I'm down 5 neck sizes, I did get married, I did have a son, I am in the greatest shape of my life. I do feel like I have like this unstoppable force and this unstoppable drive inside of me. And I want to tell people, man, if a kid from Long Island, New York, who was doubted his whole entire life, I was doubted 16 years ago, 26 years ago, 6 years ago when I had back surgery, before that, it's going to happen, and that's okay. But the beauty of it is you have to be willing to take the hits. You have to understand, if you're willing to hit, you have to be able to take the hits. You have to understand you're going to get knocked down. It's never going to be easy. Life isn't fair. Life has nothing but walls in front of you, man. But if you can stick with it and just don't quit, I promise you it is the greatest feeling ever. Now when I walk around, I feel like just so blessed and so thankful that I lost my father in my hands. Yes, I did. But a part of me is grateful because he saved my life, and I owe him.
Man, it is so much to unpack in that. That's why I didn't interrupt you. I'm like, man, I sat here a couple of times and drank my tea and took some notes. You know,
I
I was
appreciate
just
it.
reflecting, man. To everyone, is listening and right now, I've never heard him talk about other than his TEDx, which you should check out. We'll talk about that at the end. And, his wall breaker method and him, a little bit of what I could Google research. And I was sitting here just reflecting. I don't call it the wall breaker, but the same methodology. It's called Why Not Me,
Mhm.
and it's the first book I wrote. Raheel, and I'll give you a copy next time I see you in the gym. I'll keep put in my backpack.
Please do.
I love the way you simplified it, but also kept it real. You said point A to point B,
That's it.
but you're gonna have to ram your shoulder into that wall repeatedly to break it down. No, you can see the finish line. For me, a similar backgrounds, and I know we'll have a coffee and talk about this off the podcast, but similar backgrounds, I've been doubted my entire life. I'm doubted every day. I was told this, that growing up, reading my book. I had a learning disability. I'm a high school dropout that became the head of education, the senior enlisted leader for education for the Air Force, for the whole service.
Beast.
Right? It was a point where I couldn't even read on an eighth grade level. And, I've been a college professor at 6 universities for 20 years now.
Because you're a wall breaker, Todd. That's what you are. You took that shoulder. That's why you do those deltoids, man. That's why you work on deltoids, man.
You know what? I was just doing them before I got on the podcast. I was just working on some deltoids and some triceps before I got on here.
Do it, baby. That's why we do it.
So I was like, you know what? I only got 45 minutes. I'm rushing this morning. I got a lot of things. I still grabbed them weights and I still did about 3 or 4 sets right before I got on this podcast, because it's that consistency that I always talk about. It makes so much sense about you now, because everyone, I'm telling you, when I see him in the gym, everyone's working out. Everybody's there for a reason, but you're there for a purpose. How you move in that gym and how you walk around in that gym and the speed of how you walk around, just the purpose of how you change machines. Hey, I'm not stalking this guy, y'all. I'm just saying.
No, man, it means a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Because I'm telling you, when you become aware of the world around you, your life changes. For me, my wife says I like to people watch because she likes to do it with me.
My wife does too. So trust me, it's all good. We're in the same boat.
Because I'll be on the treadmill and I'll just be, I do 45 minutes on the treadmill at an incline. I love doing that. And I'll be on a treadmill and I'll just be watching everyone in the gym. And I'll just be creating stories about what this person is here for. And I always see you, man, you're literally moving 3 miles an hour around that gym. And it's like ... very purposeful. Me, I'm not a purposeful mover around the gym. I work out. I may get on my phone for 2-3 minutes after I get off the treadmill. I may, move slow, but man. So, at the end of the podcast today, please remind me where people can hear more and how can people even read more, listen more. I love that mentality, that wall breaker method. Like I said, it's simple, but it's real. Because so many things have walls in. It can be anything. It can be saving money. It can be getting a new job. It can be dissatisfaction with your current job.
100%.
And when I talk to people, or I used to do a lot of executive coaching, and when I talk to people, it's kind of the same thing. You're going to have to do the work in the middle. 100%. People ask me all the time. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm on a ton of meetings with people. Then sometimes I'm on meetings with people who want to get into entrepreneurship. And I'm like, it looks easy externally. It looks simple externally. I want to start a business. I'm going to get an LLC and I'm going to go kill the game. No.
You have no idea.
Point A is I want to be an entrepreneur, and the other get to point B is I want to be successful at it. But in the middle, there's some hard walls to get over.
You have to have that mindset to understand that. And I think that's what I try to train people. It's on any level. Here's another thing too. And this is tough for me to say because I'm a Knicks fan, but like I look at a guy like a Michael Jordan, right? For example. And like I tell people this all the time. When you think of a guy like Michael Jordan, there's obviously so many things we can go with this. But my whole point of the wall breaker method is when Michael Jordan, one special thing about him that I really appreciate is the fact that it took him 7 years, right? 7 years to win his first championship. He had to go through the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics, and then being compared to Magic and Bird and XYZ, whatever he went through. And then obviously he was able to break that wall down and beat the Lakers and then win that first championship. But my whole point to this is the fact of, one piece that I truly look at and I'm like, man, like I finally understand. It's that iconic picture of him just holding that trophy and he has his head on it and he's just crying his eyes out. His eyes out. His dad's right next to him and he's letting it out like, oh my God. It's like that is a wall breaker mentality. The fact that you went through hell and you didn't just go through hell. I'm the type of guy that I tell people I didn't just go through hell, man. I burned in it, okay? You got to learn how to burn in it. And I promise you, if you find a way to just keep crawling and keep finding a way inch by inch, and you find a way to just get out of that fire, and you're going to see nothing but lights and grass and the sun and whatever's waiting for you, whatever magic, dream, goal, etc. is waiting for you. All the scars, all the pain, all the suffering, all of it, it was all worth it. Him holding that trophy everything that he went through. That's what made him a wall breaker. That's what made him Michael Jordan. Was the simple fact of, man, I went through 7 years of all of this. Point A is I'm a rookie coming out of North Carolina, and I want to be the greatest basketball player ever, which is point B. I want to be a champion. I want to be the greatest basketball player ever. I want to be an icon. I want to be whatever it is, right? But 7 years of just knocking walls down, knocking walls down, knocking walls down, and then bam, and he's holding that trophy, crying his eyes out. That's the mindset that I try to tell people, because you didn't get that promotion, because you didn't lose 10 pounds, because you didn't save up $500 that week. But if you quit, if you run away from that wall, you are never going to get that promotion, Todd. You're never going to save that $500, right? You're never going to have that ability to understand what's waiting for you if you run away. You have to understand. You have to go, and you got to go break it. Take that shoulder and go right through it, man. You got to go right through it. Like, that's the whole point. Thank you again for talking about my gym purpose. That's exactly right. Like, I just have a mindset and a purpose that I'm here to attack. And I want to tell people all the time that it's okay. Everybody is built differently. Everybody is wired differently. But if you have a goal, specifically a goal or an achievement or an accomplishment that you want to, ideally that's the eye on the prize, whatever that is, you have to switch your mindset of, oh my God, you know what, dude? Like, I have to understand, like, I have a wall or walls in front of me, and there's nothing that I can do. I can't go around them, and I can't run away from them. I got to go through them. And that's the only way that I'm ever going to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. And for me, that's my mindset now. It's, my father died in my hands. I made this promise to him. I'm a father now, and I don't want my son looking at his dad and being like, man, like, I'm worried about my dad, or can my dad run around with me? Can my dad
Yeah,
play catch with me? And I think the best part about me and the shape that I'm in, knock on wood, is my son gets the best version of me. And if I may, I'm going to throw this one little question before you get to the next question.
absolutely. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
And I want to challenge the audience too, and we'll talk about this in a few weeks also. But when I ask people all the time, what's the most important part of your life? I could even ask you, if I were to ask you, what's the most important part of your life? What would you say?
I would say my family.
Your family. Exactly. Right. So everybody, I was in a meeting. That question was asked to everybody. It came to me. Hey, Raheel, what's the most important part of your life? And everybody said family. You know what I said? I said my training. And they were like, really? And they looked at me and they were like, why? I said, if I were to be completely honest, I say it's my training and then it's my family. They're side by side. Shaq and Kobe. You're not winning three without either one. And they looked at me and they were like, please elaborate. I was like, I'll elaborate. I said, I can't say that my family is the most important part of my life if I'm not the best version of myself mentally or physically. Those 2 hours you see me in the gym, I go first thing in the morning, 5:30, 6 a.m., crack of dawn, I'm ready to go. I come home, I drop my son off to school, and then I work all day, and then I'm a husband at night, I'm a father at night. But my point is if I was out of shape, if I was the guy that I was at 405 pounds, if I was unmotivated, if I was a wall unbreaker, right? If I was a guy that was running away from those walls, if I was lethargic, if I was lazy, if I was having a bad attitude with my wife, if I didn't want to do my chores, if I wasn't the healthiest, best version of myself mentally and physically, I can't say my family is the most important part of my life. You have to make yourself the best version of yourself. If you're the best version of yourself, mentally and physically, that's when your family is the most important part of your life. You have to be the best version of you to give your family what you owe them, what they deserve. They deserve the best version of you. And the best version of you, it's mentally and physically. And for me, when I leave that gym, they know they're getting the best dad, the best husband by far. By far. They're getting the wall breaker. That's what they're getting, Todd. I had to throw that out there.
That is a great point. That answers a lot of questions around people maybe thinking about what exactly is that. It's a mentality, and I love the way you talk about Jordan holding that trophy, because 7 years before that he was just Jordan, and after that it was a click and a switch that said, I'm not going back to those 7 years. He never went back to those first 7 years ever again. It's like win at all costs forever.
The wall broke. See, he finally broke that wall down. Him holding that trophy, crying
Yeah.
his eyes out. That was that moment. Like, I finally broke the wall down and I'm not going back.
Yeah, when you said that, I was thinking about, the moment you talked about being on side of the road with your father. I was thinking about how, I watched my sister take her last breath, and I was like, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to make radical changes to separate and retire from the military. And I'm going to go out here and turn down every job and open my own business and
Yup.
do all these things. And it just thought about that click. When the real click happens, you never go back.
It's like breathing to you. Like going to the gym is like breathing to me. Like that's
Yeah.
why I gave the answer of my training. My training and my family are neck and neck. I can't be the best version of my family for my family if I'm not the best version of
Yeah.
myself. They get the healthiest, strongest version of me. And that's the version that they need. That's the version that they deserve. Right. And I think that's the mindset that I want to tell people out there. And especially those people that are aspiring to be better professionally, in their relationships, any element in their life, financially, physically, right? You have to understand the hardest person to tell the truth to is yourself. That's the hardest person, okay? To look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. It is so freaking hard. I can't even tell you. I had to have that accountability, right? I had to have the doctor tell me, my dad crying to me, but then even myself looking in the mirror, like, man, like I'm 405 pounds, I'm overweight, I'm broken, I'm depressed, I'm not going nowhere. I'm the one that has to go stop it, right? And I was at point A, and point B was, man, just find a way to get this weight off and turn your life around. And here we are 16 years later, and I tell people, man, like if you quit, you will never know what's waiting for you on the other side. Had Jordan just quit, right, and was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't beat Detroit. I can't beat the Knicks. I can't beat Boston. I can't beat the Lakers, XYZ. He's not Jordan, like the Jordan that we know. Forget the Michael part. Now he's just Jordan now, right? I mean, that's how
Yeah.
legendary he is now, right? And I think that's the mindset that I try to teach everybody out there, whether you're in corporate, whether you're in schools. If you want to get better grades, you want to go to med school, you want to go to pharma school, you want to go to dental school. Well, guess what? Point A to point B. Okay, that's point A to point B. You're a college student, you want to be a surgeon. Point A to point B. Very simple plan. But now you got to go study, right? You got to go to med school. You got to go through 4 years. You got to go through residency. You got to go through rotations. Ain't no one just gonna hand you a diploma, Todd, and be like, "Here you go. There's a
No.
whole lot. Go cut me open." It ain't gonna happen like that. It's all here, man. It's all here.
I told you about my education journey, man. I'm telling you, math is something I extremely struggle with, right? I have 6 college degrees today, but that journey to get to that other side was hard. I failed college algebra 3 times.
Oh wow, wow, man.
3 times. It took me 3 years to get through one math class. So when you talk about that wall breaker mentality, man, it was like one or two choices: can give up, or I can keep putting my shoulder into that wall.
And just gotta keep ramming, man. Chip away at it and chip away at it.
And I tell you, man, when I finally passed that class and got a C, I felt like joy.
You thought you were Einstein. Yeah, you're like, I'm the smartest man on earth.
Hey, look, I had the trophy like Jordan had the trophy. I never forget. Real talk, man. When I passed that math class, it was one of the last 4 classes I had to take to get my bachelor's degree. And over my whole 3.5 years to get my bachelor's degree, I failed that class 3 times, and I would always put it to the side, right? I would fail it, I'll put it to the side. And when I passed, at that time, I did have my second daughter by then, and I was, me and my wife, and I was in Alaska. I was living in Alaska.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had to drive like 35 minutes back from the school I was going to my house. I cried, man, all the way home.
That's beautiful, man. You deserved it.
I cried. I never said that in public, man. I cried like a baby because it was like I felt like I just won the Super Bowl, man. Like it was so demoralizing. Like when an instructor, your professor comes to you my second time failing, and I'm like, halfway through the class and I'm not doing well. I'm just not getting it. And he's like, hey, I'm just going to give you some good advice. Like, you're not going to get this. You should probably drop this class before you have to pay the money. The drop date is coming up. And man, as a father, as a husband, as someone who's trying to go to school to better their family's life, man, I just felt like a failure in that moment. I'm not going to lie. Like, because we're going to talk about, you get those down moments, right?
Mm-hmm. That was a wall. He put a wall in front of you.
Yeah, the wall came in front of me, and I almost leaned on it and didn't push on it, man. I almost quit.
And that's the thing about walls. Well, like I was saying earlier, right? They're gonna come fast and furious. You don't know when. You don't know when they're gonna come. You don't know how big
Yeah,
they're gonna be, bigger than the Great Wall of China. And just because they're bigger than the Great Wall of China, and you somehow knock that down, you got to be ready for the next one.
yeah. And I tell you, man, this is what this is about, man. I mean, Raheel and I met in the gym, and we've had like two conversations, and this is why I love. I waited 6 years to really do a podcast. I wanted my spirit to be right in how I wanted. I just one day I woke up like 2, 3 months ago, and I'm like, I travel a lot for work. I meet so many interesting people. I meet people everywhere in the donut shop, in the coffee shop. And these are people that stories are just as powerful as Oprah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't care if I got a platform where one person is listening or 1 million people is listening. It doesn't matter. I just want to have these conversations.
I
And
agree.
that's why the first thing we do, listeners, in pre-production is say, hey, I'm going to do an intro and we're going to have a conversation. I got some questions that may take us somewhere, but this is more so, man, teasing out the beauty of this. So thank you for that. As we move on, man, a lot of things that people would think, because you're a confident person, I'm confident. You have said, becoming strong isn't about ego, it's about service. Being strong is not about ego. Some people can look at sometimes, why do you say it's about service? What connection of strength and all of that should you really own about yourself when you meet? Because I noticed, like, when I meet you and people meet you, man, you are so like, I want you to know that you can be great. And it's not about me bragging. It's about, I want you to know that you can be great. So how do you explain that
Yeah,
to
sure.
people?
Put it this way. I tell people all the time, and I think here's another great example. And I might be against the grain from a lot of other people, so I'll let you kind of hear it. But you hear this talk a lot about people telling you, well, hey, when motivation fades, you can just always rely on discipline, right? Discipline, discipline, discipline. I actually am one of the people that disagree with that. I think that they're an equal marriage. I think you need discipline and you need motivation. And what I mean by that is when you have whatever you're going through and you're from point A, like we talked about, and you're trying to get to point B, and you have those moments where you don't want to, ram that wall, you want to take your shoulder and run it against that wall. I tell people all the time, when it comes to your past moments or it comes to your failures or it comes to those moments where you feel like you're at the lowest of the low, it's okay to go back to those moments. You can forgive if anybody hurt you or anybody said a lot of mean things to you or if anybody tried to tear you down like your professor. That's a great example right there, right? He tried to tear you down, told you to quit. Hey, it's not going to work out. I would even tell you this, like, it's okay. We can forgive that. We can let that part of you go. But I think have the confidence to tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to go back to my mindset and I'm going to use that as fuel to the fire. I'm going to use the people or whatever elements that doubted me. I'll give you an even more beautiful example. You like the Jordan one? I think you're going to love this. There's an iconic clip. I'm already going to say the phrase. You're going to know it right away. Rumble in the jungle.
Oh, yeah.
Rumble in the jungle. And I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this, right? George Foreman was 40-0. And this sticks to me a lot. I get goosebumps. I feel like hitting the treadmill right now talking to you about this, okay? He's 40-0. George Foreman has a clip and I saw it on YouTube, and he was like, I walked in there. I thought literally, not only, I'm paraphrasing, but I didn't think that I was just going to beat Muhammad that night. I thought I was going to kill him. People thought that he was going to be dead in the ring. And there's another clip piggybacking off that, Muhammad Ali in the hallway, and he's looking at everybody. And this is to your question, how you just asked me, right? He's looking at everybody, and he was like, why are y'all so scared? If I thought like y'all, I wouldn't even be going out. Why am I going out here? See, if I thought like y'all, I already would lose the fight. I would already lose, right? And then round 6 happens, round 7 happens, and this is back to Foreman. Where Foreman was like, I'm swinging, and I just can't even lift my arms up anymore. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, why isn't this guy really fighting me? Why is he kind of like avoiding me? Why is he kind of XYZ? And then all of a sudden, he's like, Muhammad whispers in my ear, and he's like, is that all you got, George? My turn. My turn. And he's like, I just saw him square up. The smile comes, the mouthpiece, left, right, left. Down goes Foreman.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali, heavyweight champion of the world. Ali Boumaier, right? That's a wall breaker. That's why you have to go back and tell yourself, all y'all doubted me. You doubted the greatest boxer to ever live? You thought he was going to lose and probably die? Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? That's why I work out as hard as I do, because people thought I was going to be overweight the rest of my life. They thought I was going to be a failure. They thought I was going to be a loser. I don't care if I lost 200 pounds or not. I still go back to those moments. I forgive everybody that ever doubted me, that insulted me, that made fun of me. I forgive all of them, but I appreciate those moments. I am motivated because of those moments, just like the champ was motivated. Everyone thought he was going to lose. He was in that hallway and everybody was scared. They were scared that he was going to go out there and lose and die.
Oh,
We
I know.
doubted the
I say, yeah.
greatest fighter to ever put on gloves. What? Are you out of your mind? I hope that answers your question in terms
Man,
of,
look,
you know what I mean? Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
look, man, if that's a drop the mic, tear the paper up, throw the script out the window, man, Raheel, I tell you, man, you don't understand how everything in this universe works together. How this is a Friday morning, I'm starting my day off, got a really long, man, this is awesome. Like,
I
this is what I
appreciate
talk
it.
about. What I want people to realize, man, that you gotta go through this world and meet people. I'm a Jordan fan. I think Jordan is the greatest basketball player, one of the greatest athletes who have ever lived.
I agreed. And I'm saying that as a Knicks fan, but
Yeah,
I agree.
and a lot of it is actually mentality that I love Jordan. It's not even skill of basketball. It's the same reason I love Tiger. It's the same reason I love these like the Venus Williams and Serena. I actually love their mindset and their determination. And now them being wall breakers is what something I'm always give you, always going to be in the top of my mind.
Mhm.
I think we end that segment there as we go into our rapid fire questions in a second, and I'll explain that. But before we change out on that, man, you guys just heard a masterclass.
Thank you.
I think the world that we live in now, people are looking for purpose. Just talked about this yesterday. People are looking for how they dial up that inner purpose in their self, how they become change makers. I know the generation that we are discounting every day, these young people that are in the world that they're trying to figure things out. We have to give them, I say, set conditions for them to be successful. And
Mhm.
having conversations like this that, hey, failure looks different for you than it looks for my generation, but the way to get to point A to B hasn't changed.
Rock bottom is the most beautiful part because we can't go anywhere else but up.
The direction to B is still the same direction it has been throughout the last thousands of years. A, B, wall in the middle.
That's it.
Now, mentality and how you have developed your mentality in strength and all of that, that has changed over time. But you can do it in your own way. It doesn't have to be the way I did it. It doesn't have to be the way Raheel does it. But you have to find something in yourself to do it. And I think that's such an important message. But we're going to go into our rapid fire questions here in our last couple of minutes. There's only one rule in our rapid fire questions. You can't think about the answer. You got to give the answer in a very short amount of time, like 15 seconds or less. I would give you 10 seconds, but you get 15 because
My
your answers
man.
are so great. So rapid fire, 5 rapid fire questions, and then we'll give you the last word, and then we'll be out at the Unbounded podcast. So first one habit that changed your life the fastest.
My father.
All right,
That's
that's your
it.
answer. All
That's
right,
my
I love it.
answer.
The hardest wall you ever had to break, mentally or physically?
My weight loss.
Weight loss. Got it. All right. Strength. The word strength in one word means what to you?
My son. That's where I get my strength from.
All right, I'll give you that. A belief that you had to let go of, or you had to let that belief die to become who you are today.
That I used to be the hunted and now I'm the hunter all the way through.
Man, I
Yeah,
love
you
that.
like that, Todd? I told you I'm ready, man. Killer instinct.
You need to get a t-shirt.
They doubted Ali. They doubted me, man. We all can be Muhammad Ali. That's why he's the champ, man. Rest in peace. That's the mindset. You know?
Man, I tell you what, we're going to have to tease that one out as a clip. I used to be the hunted, and now
Yes,
I'm the
sir. You
hunter.
already know.
That's the quote right there I'm using for you. All right, last one. What do you want your legacy to say about you when no one else is in the room?
That he was the wall breaker. Any wall in your life can be broken, and he is the pure example of that, without a doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you my last answer to that question. He lived. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard a masterclass in not only mentality, not only discipline, not only the way to live life to the fullest every day when you get up and open your eyes, and you're so fortunate to do, but you just heard someone who is pure, honest, and direct. Again, I challenge you to meet people like this in the world, not only in our country, but around the world. I lived overseas for 17 years. I think that's what my curiosity came from, is being young and in cultures that were not familiar to me. So I was curious enough to want to learn more. We can do that right here in our gyms, our coffee shops, our neighbors, our streets. We have to be more connected. There are unbounded people out here who have changed their lives, who are enhancing others' lives around us, who are doing the hard things. If life is really hard for you right now, there are ways to get from A, where you're at today, to B. And there are people out there who have done it. There are people out there who will tell you it's going to be hard. The first thing I tell someone, yes, journey is going to be hard, but it's worth it. Hey, Raheel, we're going to give you the last word on Unbounded, because the last word belongs to you. And we so appreciate you coming out here and blessing us and being a part of this journey. We might not be the number one podcast in America, and I have to call it a podcast because it's going to be on all the podcast platforms, but this is a conversation with real people, real stories, real results. So thank you again, Raheel.
I appreciate you, Todd. Thank you for having me, man. I had a great time and so just thankful to meet you and be a part of your life, hopefully moving forward. And yeah, man, that was a great episode, man. An hour that flew by.
It did. And I always set episodes for 35 minutes and then max of an hour. You are definitely deserving of the max of our time. So
But last word you said really quick, I will just leave it out to the audience. It's whatever you are going through right now. We talked about point A to point B, but if you are at point A and point A is truly rock bottom and you are at the lowest of the lows and you feel like you are that person on that mat and you can't get back up and you feel like, man, I am depressed, I am sad, I am broken, I challenge you to tell yourself this is the best time. It is the most beautiful part of your life because at the end of the day, it's truly about the comeback. Why do we fall? So we can find a way to pick ourselves back up. You want to get from point A to point B. You're not going to do it by staying on the ground. Find a way, put one foot in front of the other, stand up, stand tall, take the scars, take the beatings, take whatever you got going on. Find a way to take those shoulders and keep ramming it against that wall. Don't quit, no matter how long it takes. Don't worry about anyone else. Just stay focused, stay clear, and I promise you, when you break that wall down, you could be like Michael Jordan holding that trophy iconically and crying your eyes out. And whatever your trophy is in your world, your story, I promise you, it's the most beautiful feeling ever. You're talking to a guy who lost 200 plus pounds, who got LASIK surgery, who did become a father and a husband and in the greatest shape of his life. And God willing, I can keep this journey going for the rest of my life, however long that is. And I promise you, it's worth it. You're a wall breaker in you. I promise you, you are a wall breaker. Man, you're making me blush, man. I appreciate it.
that's all I got. That's that's all the words I have. And for the audience who can't see, who's listening to this, we just broke the wall. We just threw a script and broke the wall behind it. So, Raheel, thank you again. We look forward to this coming out. To everyone who was listening, you need to rewind this. Last thing, Raheel, where can everybody find you? You find your TEDx, and where can they connect with you at if they are looking to say, I want to talk to this guy?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram, Raheel the Speaker. You're gonna see like my booking link on there, and then just a announcement. I actually am revamping my brand new website that's coming out also as well. It'll have all my links on there, and if you go on YouTube, you'll see Wallbreaker 200. If you type in Wallbreaker 200, that's my podcast. We'll start re-recording. I think I have a guest that I might want to bring on there down the line also as well on YouTube. So type in Wallbreaker 200. You'll see me on there, my channel, and then Raheel the Speaker Instagram. You'll see my booking link and all my material. Send me a DM, contact me, and let's break these walls down together.
Awesome, man. Again, thank you again. Look forward to seeing you and all the great things you're going to do and all the things we're going to do together to keep breaking these walls down.
Appreciate you, Todd. Thank you.
Again, Unbounded is out.